On Legion here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to episode 21 of our daily gaming XP grind. And right now, we've got our inventory full of a lot of different things. So we really weren't going to be working on Artisan anymore, as we've already sort of reached our goal. But at the same time, we've been killing lots of different creatures. And ultimately, we still have to sort of use these resources, as I think that's going to be obviously important, because otherwise you're just sort of going to sit in a chest. So it's not really our primary goal to sort of do that, but obviously it's important to sort of still use those things, as I think that just sort of makes sense. So we did just go ahead and put that stuff in there, and now we are going to put some swamp tar in here to make some adhesive. And the next thing we're going to be doing is working on cooking. So I do want to pop a cooking potion, as there's still actually more resources we need to put over there, but ultimately we've already got a lot of things set up here that we can do. So we've got quite a bit that's going to be cooking right now, and I need to find out what I can put in here so that way we can get XP in cooking, as this is something that ultimately we need to start progressing and working on. But none of this stuff seems to be working and blending together, so obviously there's going to have to be some changes to what I'm putting in there. So anyways, let's go ahead and take this out, put this in, and some of these things really aren't going to be giving a lot of XP. Now let's go ahead and put the rest of this stuff over here. Let's see, it's probably just going to be the animal hide that we're going to put in here to make leather. So it looks like we already had some of these things that were going from earlier when we logged out behind the scenes. So we need to sort of put all this stuff in here and get it going, so that way we can focus on the other thing that we plan to really do in this episode, which is going to be rune crafting. So we really don't have everything quite as stacked as we would have liked to have it, but I think ultimately you can only do so much in a day or behind the scenes, and I think that we are still going to have quite a bit. So one thing we do need to grab is our rune crafting potions, as I think that it makes sense, as these things they do take time to level up, so it's important to maximize efficiency and the XP that you're going to be getting while doing this. So we've got quite a nice stack right here, and we're just going to be using this to sort of get a bulk of it. But ultimately, this is going to be the grind to get the rune crafting XP up to 1 million, which I think really ultimately is going to be the goal. I'm not sure, as I've discussed quite a bit in my other episodes, if that's going to be in fact level 99, around 1 million to 1.2. It's hard to think that they would have it so high, but it's just too hard to debate, and I'm not really going to get into that anymore. I guess I just want to say that I feel comfortable at 1 million, and it's just sort of the goal that we're setting right now. So that's something we're going to be doing. But there's lots of rune essence here. If you sort of come here and shoot it down, I think that's the best way to do it, and it's the most efficient way to collect it, because I suppose you could come over here and just grab it and just mine it right out the gate, but I do like to let it build up, as I can do other things in a game and then just build a gigantic stack of it, which I did cover in another video. I'm not sure if you had seen it, but ultimately we've got work to do, that's for sure. And it's not just going to be something that happens overnight. I mean, this is a progression over the course of time. So we're invested in it, and we're going to keep going until we get the result that we want. It's quite strange right now. My computer is running extremely hot, and I'm not quite sure why, as I play this game all the time, and I guess sometimes it does sort of speed up and just accelerate. So ultimately there's no real reason right now. It's not like we're in an area where we have lots of buildings or anything like that. So hopefully it sort of stops, because it's actually quite loud and quite irritating, to be quite honest. But I did read it online a little bit about it, and the graphics card actually runs pretty hot at times, so the fans are just doing their job. So we're getting quite a bit of rune essence, which is quite nice. And if you see our bag down there, they must have changed the weight of it, because I'm actually able to quite hold quite a bit. And I recall when I did this before, and I had, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was only able to hold 700, maybe 600 rune essence at once. So I'm quite happy that they sort of increased what you can hold. So it's quite nice, especially since I'm going to be farming these at such a large rate. And obviously you have your personal storage chest, so it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of it. But uh, anyways, moving on to the next topic. So obviously we've discussed a little bit in our other videos, the new regions they're going to be adding to the game. And I'm just hoping that ultimately they make bigger rune essence nodes or something like that, as I think it would be a little bit beneficial to sort of increase it in some way. Obviously, these regions are going to have new. Sorry about that. They're going to have new risks, higher level monsters, and different effects that the regions are going to be putting against you. So I think it would only make sense to sort of uh, give a better reward for going into those dangerous settings. As they mentioned, one of the new regions having heat, and you have to stay in the shade. So I think it would only make sense, as which I think they're going to do with like rune and adamant ore, things like that, mithril. So I think you're going to get rewarded sort of from playing in a strategic way in a survival game, which makes sense. So we accidentally clicked on the wrong one. We're going to go here and grab this. So we sort of actually added a couple lodestones recently behind the scenes. So that way we were going to be maximizing efficiency while leveling rune crafting. Because initially we really didn't have that many. And we really wanted to add a couple more to really benefit from the skill itself while leveling it. Just overall, I think that I'm being hunted right now as well. But these guys aren't really that big of a deal, so we should take care of them really quickly. And actually, while we're doing this, we're probably going to be able to level up our magic as well. I believe I'm going to be level 43 once I actually do that. So quite excited about that, as that's a pretty big development. And it's quite interesting, because if magic was in a game when they released it, I would definitely be already level 50. But since it was a later release, and since we're so far from other developments in the game, I haven't really put a lot of importance in making sure that that reaches level 50, as we've got quite a bit of time to sort of work on that. So I'm not necessarily stressed for time when it comes to that, and just sort of going to be going with it and seeing, obviously it's not a huge deal. It's just sort of level it as it comes, and we're quite okay with that. So I think easy things to level in the game. That's something interesting we could talk about a little bit, is what are the easiest skills to level in the game? I would definitely say artisan's up there. Mining's up there for sure. What else we got? Wood cutting is not necessarily easy. I think it's incredibly time consuming to level up wood cutting. So I'm going to have to say artisan and mining are probably the two easiest skills. And construction. Sorry about that. Construction, I mean, you guys saw in our last video, I believe it was, we got 100 and was it 10,000 XP in like about 9 minutes. So if you had a big enough area like we, right here shown, you potentially could just go and go and go, and I guess you just multiply that times maybe 5. So you could potentially get 500,000 construction XP in 1 hour. Obviously, you're going to have to rebuild and do things like that. So it wouldn't be continuous. It would sort of max out at a certain point where you're going to have to rebuild everything and sort of put yourself in a position so you can redo that. So even then, building a larger foundation, I hate when they fall off the cliff. Thank goodness that one didn't. But ultimately, so anyways, when you're rebuilding that foundation, that's probably going to take you 15. If you've got a full inventory of ash logs, it'll be a lot easier. So maybe let's just say 15 minutes, which I really don't even think it would take you that long. But then I guess your foundation would be quite large, so it potentially could take you that long. But even then, I think it's incredibly worth it. So ultimately, you could get what 5 million construction XP potentially in 10 hours. But then you've got to include all the building of the foundations again. So then you'd probably be putting your time closer to the range of maybe 13 hours to get 5 million construction XP. But obviously, you would have to have a ridiculous amount of ash planks, right? A ridiculous amount. That would just, I don't even know the math on it, but I'm just going to say it would be absolutely ridiculous. Got to pop another rune crafting potion as I was not paying enough attention. But ultimately, that would be ridiculous. But obviously, you get all those resources back. So then essentially, you can redo it again. So I don't know. Obviously, construction is initially, before I found that method that leveled up construction, I was quite worried about how I was going to level up construction, because just sort of building roofs on the ground or whatever you wanted to do, it took an incredible amount of time to destroy all those items. So it was very interesting once I found that way to do it with the side tables, that it's essentially probably the easiest skill to level in the game, construction. So time wise, and obviously you've got to get the planks. But if you didn't mind spending the extra time, you could just make enough planks to potentially just get the 100 XP, 100,000 XP in that certain time frame, and then just go from there. I'm interested to see if my rune crafting potion is actually going to last, because I wanted to use it while I was making runes, but I'm seeing how long this is taking, which is not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, because I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of rune essence. The only issue and the only worry with it really is that I wanted to get really good XP while I was working and making those runes. So now that might be a little bit different than I thought how it was originally going to look. So I don't know why these are on the ground like that, but we went ahead and picked them up. I was probably trying to get extra room, but there's just so much rune essence. It's everywhere. So even though I didn't necessarily spend a ridiculous amount of time sort of saving up loads of it on the ground, we still have quite enough to sort of really make a dent in our rune crafting level. So I'm not level really, right? XP, but essentially one day it will equate to a level. So quite interested to see how much XP I'm going to have in all this when I'm done. So just got to keep going. But like I said, I believe that once we're done with this whole little voyage, we should have magic leveled up as well. So these guys don't really give a lot of magic XP, but that's okay. It's expected, because honestly, they're such a low level, so you're not really going to benefit a lot from killing them as far as XP goes. So we've just got to go over here and keep getting all this rune essence. It's just time consuming, not difficult. And then rune crafting potion is eventually going to wear off here. So that's definitely an issue too. That's kind of concerning right now. Is I don't believe, was it dwellberries? I'm not entirely sure. I think it might have been, or maybe construction XP. I think it's flax. So, but there's just a ridiculous amount of these rune essences here. So eventually here, I know we'd like to keep our videos between 15 and 30 minutes. So this video is probably going to be running at the end of probably more of a 30-minute video. But I think it's important to sort of take time and do it right. So this should help a little bit getting the XP. I don't even remember hitting that guy, so he sort of just died there. And we actually picked up a couple things right there, which is going to hurt our inventory weight just a little bit. But we can always use our personal storage. But this is crazy. So we've got 1,233 rune essence. So it's going to be quite a bit. I don't even have enough room in my inventory for runes to be having that amount. So what we're going to have to do is basically empty it all into a storage container. So that way we can keep doing this. But I'm trying to remember which ones I already hit. That's an issue. But we've got so many more to hit still. And I guess we're done here. We've sort of hit all the ones here. So now we can sort of move our attention here. We actually had to move our lodestone because the rune essence wasn't... oh my goodness, that was not good. That could have been deadly for sure. So one thing I want to do is actually put more lodestones over here at each rune essence node. Because honestly, I don't really like having to run around this entire thing. I can't believe it though. We almost just died there. That could have been incredibly horrible. So we've got 31 seconds left on our rune crafting potion. So before we actually make runes, we're going to have to make some more potions. Because I believe it'll last until I'm done collecting all my rune essence. But then after that, it's just sort of going to be gone. So definitely got to keep an eye on that and try to be as efficient as possible with the potions that are active. As we basically after this one we've got one left, so I think we should be ultimately fine because we've got plenty of resources to make more. But I know when I do construction sometimes I'm making so many side tables that I sort of forget, and I don't really want to do that, as obviously that's XP lost, and when you're making that many side tables, obviously that's going to be huge and matter quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and blow up all these. We probably should have knocked those down first, as that was sort of a waste. But it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, we're going to be in this for the long haul, and it took a little bit more time. So, oh well. I don't know what's going on here. Apparently that one was already knocked down. I just couldn't tell. So let's go ahead and pick up the rune essence. Our inventory is now finally getting full after having a ridiculous amount. So they definitely changed the weight of rune essence, and maybe that's partially due to the fact of how long it takes to level up rune crafting, or maybe, and they know, hey, you know, these people are going to be farming this and it's going to take a considerable amount of time. So let's go ahead and make it so they can carry it a little bit more while they're farming it. I'm not sure, really, ultimately. But either way, we're sort of setting ourselves up for success in that way. And that's what we're doing. So, anyways, we are almost done in this area with this. I believe that's really the only areas we've put our lodestones to get rune essence. But we do have the storm-touched highlands. So we do have a little bit we want to grab there. And then I believe by then the potions will have wore off. But I think ultimately, in the process of all that, we should have a ridiculous amount of rune essence. I don't think I've ever had this much rune essence. I don't know what these are for. I don't know why I've sort of got all these here. I think some of it was I knew the new area is going to be over here at one of these, so I was sort of preparing to get ready for that. So I guess we'll get these, try to maximize this whole trip, as I believe that since we've got so much, we're going to see such a jump in XP. So I'm quite excited, as just mining, it gives XP as well. So this is really going to help our progression. One thing that is also really interesting is we've sort of got goals for everything. And I know cooking is going to be the most difficult. So I think while we level magic, not necessarily level, but get more XP, we'll probably be killing a ridiculous amount of sheep to sort of get that magic XP. And while doing so, well, I mean, one, we're going to get animal bones and things like that. But what was I going to say? I don't know. I sort of lost my train of thought. But yeah, basically, that's going to be leveling up magic. That's sort of what I was going at. Once we reach our goals, then we're going to start moving into basically, obviously, our attack skills, right? Whether it's magic, ranged, things like that. And but range isn't quite in the game yet. But ultimately, we're still going to have to level that. Look at all these sheep. You know how hard it is for me right now mentally to sort of just leave all these rams and sheep on the ground, like run around. I want to kill them all so bad. I want to, but I can't, because at the end of the day, I'm out here doing something and I've got rune crafting potion active and trying to maximize efficiency. But we are trying to also get our magic leveled up one time. So I think we're going to need to kill a couple of these. So unfortunately, we're going to have to stop this really quick here. And hopefully I don't pick up too much of the stuff on the ground, because I don't want to waste room. And I mean, it's not really a big deal. There we go. We don't really have to worry about it now, do we? So we leveled up to level 43 in magic, and that's quite great. I would have put a lodestone for the rune essence way over there. And the reason I really didn't do that is because there's Garu over there. and I hate popping in and having to fight a ridiculous amount of Garu just to sort of what I need to do in the game. It's not good. So I don't want to have to fight monsters just to get a couple rune essence. But the ones I've strategically placed allow me to gather rune essence, and there's really no threat for the most part, except I was just hit. I thought it was a Garu, but it was lightning, so that's actually quite wonderful. I'm not really in the mood right now. I've just leveled up my magic. I will obviously get us in a position in behind the scenes, so next time I'm playing, I can level up my magic, as that's something I sort of like to do. I don't really want to have to bring you guys along for that whole experience of leveling it up, just because it is time consuming. So let's see. I don't know if there's any more. There is some, so we're going to grab it really quick. And it looks like our rune crafting potion will not be active for the entire time, but ultimately I don't think it's really the end of the world. Unfortunate, yes, but not the end of the world. So let's go ahead. We've almost got 2,000 rune essence, which is actually quite a big deal. So like I stated before, we're going to have to put all of our current runes inside of a storage chest when we get back, because there's just way too many. I wonder if we can kill this really quick. I'm only doing it because you can see how far my magic XP is actually leveling here. These plants are the wild Lobless vine, are actually a great creature to kill to get XP. And yes, they might hit you, but ultimately I think that third strike sort of stuns them really quick. And even if you get killed, I haven't really had a problem where I die to the plant. Another strategy that you could do is, if you don't like those plants and they're too dangerous, I even thought sort of how the trees work. You can actually put a piece of wood over where it's supposed to spawn. Now, I'm not sure because I haven't tested this theory, but I have this idea in my head that actually if you were to put like a wooden floor there, it's possible you would stop the plant from regrowing, right? Because you're sort of blocking a node, but I'm not sure if that would actually work. It was just something I sort of thought of like about a month and a half ago. And then as I sort of wasn't really going near them anymore, I realized I didn't necessarily need to worry about it. I'm so glad they increased the stack for arrows to 999. And then the weight. They have no weight, which I think is amazing. So I was really actually happy they did that as well. So we can actually pull out this as well. And let's go ahead and make a rune crafting potion, as that's going to be essential because we're going to be getting quite a large amount of rune crafting XP. So let's go ahead. We need coarse animal fur, clay vessel, and the morental. The problem with this is I believe I just used all my coarse animal fur earlier. I know we got 2 left, so that sort of works. So let's go ahead and drop these in here and put these here and then make 2 potions really quick. But while those are making, I've been working on making more ash planks. I really thought there'd be more in there. I don't know why there's not. We put quite a bit of logs in there. So we're going to keep working on that as well. And it's just going to take time. But we've got an insane amount out there already on the floor to pick up. But the reason I really haven't done that is I want to go back with a full inventory and pick him off the ground. I don't know. I've sort of gotten into that before with you guys about the way that you could do it. So look at that. All that rune essence, and I still don't have a full inventory. So anyways, I want to check up on my rune crafting XP really quick before I get started. So we're at 357,791. So let's go ahead and let's see, actually. We need to put these inside our rune chest, because we obviously are going to need a lot of room to do this. I usually keep the water runes with me, and I don't even know why, because you can't really use them. It was just sort of always the idea in my head, what if I needed them and something came about? Well, also magic was coming to the game, so I really thought they were going to implement them in a way. But ultimately, right now, it's going to be just pretty basic, just making a ridiculous amount of runes. So I wish there was a faster way to do this, to be quite honest, because if you've got a lot of rune essence inside your inventory, it can be a little bit time consuming, and it'd just be kind of nice if you had a way to do that. So now we've got 3. I'm going to have to try to find a way to sort of make that not like that, because it's such a waste of space when they do 3. So I wish they sort of adjusted that as well, when Magic came out, because it's sort of weird. It's just an uneven number. So it doesn't quite help when you're trying to sort of navigate your inventory and maximize efficiency and things like that. So if you want to click slower, I think it's going to benefit you a lot more, as the faster you click, the slower it seems to work. So I think it teaches you patience, because if you don't, it will get laggy and it won't do what you want it to do. So you just got to sort of be patient when you do this. Um, Interestingly enough, I feel like I got quite a bit of rune crafting XP while I was mining it, and then this is more like chunks of XP, but for some reason it just doesn't seem like a lot. But overall, we know this skill is going to take time to get XP in, and it's just sort of the way it is. But I'm grateful that we've got a lot of time before range comes out, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like when they bring it to the game, and sort of what changes will be made to different things. So we've got a long way to go, and it's going to be quite the journey. So we're looking forward to it. So we got to make some more astral runes, and we're getting a decent amount of XP. Oh my goodness, what happened? Did I forget to pop my rune? Oh my goodness. I feel ridiculous right now. I feel defeated in a sense, because I lost out on quite a bit of XP in the long run there, and that really is terrible. But we've still got a lot of essence to work with, but obviously you don't want to waste, and that's exactly what we did, because we've already went through basically the majority of our rune essence and we didn't have that potion active. But if you really look at it, you're only getting 75 more XP each time, which still matters, because it probably would have been an extra maybe 1500 XP total, somewhere in the range of that. So it is a loss, and any loss is not a good loss. And there's no way to spin that. It's just not good. So ultimately, don't make the mistake I just made, as it sort of is unfortunate when you've got such a haul of rune essence. So I know this video seemed a little bit different, but we obviously have to work on other skills in a game, and I feel like it sort of started out in one direction, and ultimately it just sort of went the way it went. So I want to actually grab a couple more runes, because I feel like I'm short on earth runes a little bit, law runes, maybe fire, and another astral. It's like, it seems like I'm missing something really, but I guess I'm not. So anyways, we got all that done. I guess we'll pop an artisan potion and sort of pick up everything over here that's sort of going through, and grab all this really quick. So it's quite a bit of artisan, but we're not really even worried about it. We've already easily level 99 in artisan, so I don't really think it matters that much. But obviously I still pick it up and still got to do it, because I've got all these extra resources. So essentially, once it's all said and done as well, I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of just extra resources. So that's another reason we built that storage warehouse, is it's just going to be crazy amounts of basically everything. So we got about 926 cooking XP from that. So there was quite a bit actually being made there, and that's what we have to show for it. So that, you know, cooking's that one thing that's just going to take forever. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into an XP update before we end the video. We actually have a couple more things we can pick up over here. Not really a big deal. 180 artisan XP. So let's hop over here. And actually, before I even start on the XP update, you can see all those side tables have destroyed themselves throughout doing things in the game. So now I can go back and make more foundations, and then go back and do it all over again. So I just wanted to show you that really quick. I thought that was important. So XP update time. Have not touched attack. 254,000 XP. Woodcutting, 770,000 XP. I've been working on that a little bit, actually, behind the scenes. Construction, 1,419,000 XP. Rune crafting, 376,000 XP. So it's a slow go, for sure, but we're making progress. We've got magic sitting at 20,000 XP. We've got mining at 4,016,000 XP.
Artisan at 3,022,000 XP, and Cooking at 113,000 XP. So obviously, I think the most significant progression obviously has been in the rune crafting today and construction. I believe in one of my potentially yesterday's video, magic, because we're actually moving the level up, and even like little significant but insignificant things in cooking and artisan. So, and I guess, yeah, so that's pretty much it. But anyway, guys, if you guys made it this far in the video or watched any of the video at all, we really appreciate you guys following our content and sort of watching our progression through the game. Eventually, we will get back to working on our mannequins. But thanks for your time, and stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. So, Legion Uta out.